We are live right now, so we can talk. And with me is Stefan from MoneyGangCrypto, as you can see, guys. And today Bitcoin is dumping. Bitcoin is dumping right now, $61,000. What do you think about it, Stefan? But first, I will show your channel, so our audience will know where are you from.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for having me on, Julian. I appreciate it. Very nice of you. And thanks for reaching out as well. 61K Bitcoin, Ethereum down to 3.3 when as low as 3.2, Solana down to 127. And I think it's all based off of what's going on with Mt.Gox, right? A lot of people are talking about Mt.Gox beginning Bitcoin repayments to creditors in July 2024, which has kind of spooked the market. So a lot of stuff follows what Bitcoin does. But for me, I mean, I'm more of an Ethereum guy. I've always more been into kind of EVM-based chains, as well as Pulse Chain, as well as I'm dipping my toes in Solana a little bit, but it's very GT there. It's very fast-paced. Everything rugs happen quicker. But to me, it's just a bit of a spook in the market, especially when you know that the Ethereum ETFs go live next month. So the actual inflow of money coming in from big finance, from institutions like BlackRock and VanEck, etc., that goes live in July. So we've been waiting for this. So they've been trying to fill out the S1 forms and sorting all of that out, make adjustments at the last minute. But yeah, that's coming as of next month. So to me, I think we're talking just before in the green room, and talking about this is a good purchasing opportunity once the market's extremely scared.
By the way, do you have a better mic? Because I hear that your mic isn't really good.
Hold on. Let me just check the settings here. It should be coming through.
And meanwhile, guys, I will show you why BTC is dumping. BTC started dumping just after the release of this document that Mt.Gox will start repayments of Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash in July. So in maybe 1 week or 2 weeks from now. And it's about, I don't know how much, but it was 140,000 Bitcoins. 140,000 Bitcoins. So probably they won't give it back in one part. Probably it will be few parts, but anyway.
How's it now? Is it coming through better?
Much better. Anyway,
Perfect.
the market decided to dump the price before the Mt.Gox creditors will dump it in July. And this info was released today, just before the dump from 62,800. So just after that, the price of BTC went down around 3 to 4%. But it was nice moments to trade. From my perspective, it was nice opportunities to trade, especially because just at this, price dump, right at the bottom, was huge buying pressure from exchanges. It's visible right here. This peaks to the almost bottom. It's just at the almost ideal moments to accumulate BTC. Do you trade? By the way, what is your strategy on the market? Do you trade Bitcoin? Do you trade altcoins or spot or leverage? What is your strategy? Because our audience don't know it.
Spot predominantly, and it's usually altcoins and Ethereum. I actually don't buy any BTC. And that's it's my theory on, like, I've always liked Ethereum more than BTC, which I know a lot of BTC maxis are going to hate me for saying that, but I just always kind of saw it as easier to use, and like I like the quick transactions. I like the fact that most of the altcoins are on EVM based chains, and it just was like more functional for me. I could understand like people got into BTC back in the day, and you know, I might buy some wrap BTC sometimes, but it's more just in the altcoins and in Ethereum. So I have some Ethereum, I have some Solana, I have a little bit of Link, I have a little bit of what else do I have? What other chain stuff? Some Sui, so the new layer ones, Pulse Chain. What else do I have? Bit of base, bit of stuff on base, bit of meme coins on base. But yeah, those are the kind of chains I'm playing with, mainly Pulse Chain, Ethereum, and some stuff on base and Solana. Those are kind of the chains I'm using. And Blast, I've been farming on Blast, the L2. So that airdrop should come this month, I believe, which will be interesting.
And what do you think about, if spot ETFs? They are going to be live probably in the beginning of July.
Yeah. Yeah,
what
could
your
be
strategy on this?
Well, I think the predictions are. I mean, I think about like Eric Balkunas and James Sayart, and I like their opinions on the general market, but they're saying approximately about 15 to 30% of the kind of inflows that would come in for BTC will go into Ethereum spot ETFs. But I always think that it will have a higher effect on Ethereum because it doesn't take as much capital to move the price. And also you have 30% of the supply of Ethereum that's currently staked. So that's off the market. So that could have a higher pressure, buy pressure on that. The predictions that Standard Chartered said is that about 8K, they think that the price of Ethereum by the end of the year will be 8K. But I've never really been convinced on like the summer periods being a very good time for crypto, usually the winter months, unless it's a straight bear market. Usually the winter months have been better. Usually the all-time highs happen then. So I think this particular cycle, I think that we start to see some real price increase by the end of this year. So for my summer, I'm kind of pretty chill. I'm on holiday. I'm not really worried about the price at the moment, apart from buying opportunities. But I think by November, by the US presidential election, and if it goes the way that I think it will go, we could see some really good price action for BTC, ETH, and the alts.
Yeah, there is election in US. So this is another really important event.
Yes.
In November, and probably there will be in December Fed cut rates, or in October Fed rate cuts.
I would be surprised if they don't do it in those months. I think the Democrats are going to have a lot of pressure on the Federal Reserve, especially leading into an election. But yeah, I was quite surprised they held rates at the last meetup. When's their next meetup? Let's have a look. Fed meetups 2024. Because usually they like to cut rates prior to an election.
Yeah, before it, right?
Yeah, just before. Excuse me.
So yeah, if they will cut rates before the elections, and various elections are going, so probably Trump will win. Positive, big positive.
I hope so.
I hope so too. for crypto holders and traders. So if Trump will win, this is positive event for crypto market. Also, cut rates is potential positive event. So what do you think the market will do? What do you think that, big players will play? Do you think that they will buy before it, and they will pump the price before these events to sell the news after these events?
I don't know if Trump winning is a dead certainty. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if it gets kind of taken away or stolen away or something happens, like an event that occurs to try and stop that happening. I just think the way they're trying to arrest him and stuff. I find that with bigger players, yes, a lot of people think that they could front run the event, but it's very uncertain. I don't think I think in terms of chances of him winning is like 50-50. Now, I know that the general population do want him in. Even you think the different demographics of people, Latinos, the black community, the kind of diehard MAGA community, the younger community with the Nelk boys and stuff. A lot of them do want Trump in, and it seems like he's the populist candidate. But I don't know if it's a dead certain definitive event, because I remember what happened with the last election. However, what would happen with price action, I think if there's a cut, if the Fed cuts the rates, I think for the first couple of months, you will see some real volatility in the market, maybe even to the downside, because you've gone from stability to instability. You've gone from being held rates for so long, and now you're introducing a new, even though the money printers are back on, as per se, even though there's quantitative easing, you've got an uncertainty within the market, and markets react pretty badly when there's a little bit of uncertainty, even though it might be price positive for assets. So you might get the first couple of months being a little bit volatile, and then you might see that stability happen. When Trump first got elected, the price of things went up significantly. I remember it quite clearly because the UK decided to vote Brexit, and then a few months later you had Trump being voted in, and then the markets, it was a bit unstable for a month or two, and then you start to see the markets really rise up and do well. So those factors will, in the long term, do very well. I think in the short term of those happening, that will probably have an effect on the market, like swing it a bit, and you'll get a lot of volatility around those events. Big players, in my personal opinion, I think like big whales and stuff, they like to look for certainty because of the amount that they're playing with. So they wouldn't take the risk, especially when you're talking millions and millions of dollars, potentially billions, but particularly multi-millions. You want certainty. You want certainty of, like, say, for example, a Trump election. You want certainty of, cut rates and looking at the market reacting, and then inserting your liquidity and putting your money in there. So I would give it a month or two after those events. That would bring us to probably December 24, January 25, where you start to really see some movement in price to the upside.
Interesting. So, okay. So it's different with my prediction, but it's okay because I can learn something from you.
It's a case where you got to watch it. You'll get this kind of volatility, because in your mind you're like, okay, cutting rates is pretty good. It's good for like assets. It's good for money coming into the market, and people feel wealthier, and maybe you'll get a lot more circulating liquidity and things of that nature. But when the market's been in such a certain period whereby it's held rates for so long, and then you get this change, this sudden change in the short term, it creates a bit of volatility, quite extreme volatility. But then the market gets used to it. The market has a certainty, it has a direction, and then boom, you start to see the price go up. If you look back at the times of the previous elections and look at how the markets reacted in that month or so during that election and leading up to that election, you'll see the price chart kind of move, and you'll see some volatility, and then boom, you'll start to see it move in the right direction.
So in the past, in 2019, when rates were cut, the price went down just after that. But before that, the price was pumping during this
and that was what price was that at, around that mark?
Around 12,000 for
12,000.
Bitcoin.
Yeah. For that mark.
In 2019.
Yeah, you could. I mean, yeah, there was a lot of volatility in that last market, particularly around that COVID dip. I remember that COVID dip specifically. That was one of the craziest. I remember everything went down significantly, but that was classified as a black swan, I guess.
Yeah, have you been trading back then?
Yeah, I was trading back then. I bought up a lot of different stocks and also some crypto back then. But I wish I kind of just went all in on crypto at that point. I didn't.
All in gold.
You know, like I didn't think it was a rigged game until the GME bullshit. Excuse my language, but yeah, when the first GME, because I remember it very well. It was basically, I had this app on my phone, Trading 212. So for those of you who are in the States, like you use Robinhood, in the UK or in Europe, you use Trading 212. Sometimes different in different European countries, but you couldn't buy GME. You know, the companies that were short in the stocks had some. They were owners of the actual stock trading platforms and were stopping you from using the buy button. So you could only hold or you could sell. It's like the biggest rigged game I've ever seen in my life. And then it's only 9 to 5 from like Monday to Friday during New York trading hours. I was like, this is a rigged game. This is rubbish.
Crazy.
At least I can buy some altcoin or some meme coin, and at least I get rugged. I know what's going on. But yeah.
Do you trade, or do you trade daily or weekly? What is your strategy?
No, I mean, for me, like, I've never really been one of those. I have played around with leverage a couple times, only stuff that I can afford to lose, and I have like tried trading it or day trading, but I actually find like with the bag size I've got, it's like I'm better just providing liquidity and being in DeFi and earning a passive income as per se from the yield that I earn. So that's, you know, been really good for myself. Like I'd rather do that than and accumulate than and then sell near the tops or nearish the tops, or where it's done good amount of gains in the macro, when the macro is in a good, when retail's coming in, when you see top signals coming in and people putting Lamborghinis up, and you know your taxi drivers talking about crypto, and everyone's in this euphoria stage. That's when I like to sell. So I'm more of a long-term player. I'm not really a short-term trader. I've had mates who have done it, but they got in big trouble, man. Like massive leverage losses, and I'm like, you know what? I'd rather just buy and hold, which is boring. It's not sexy, but you know, it's okay for me. I'm alright with doing that.
Do you have some coins you want to share?
Well, yeah, I can talk about it. I think it's significantly undervalued stuff in the Pulse chain ecosystem, but the volume's down. It's in a big state of depression right now. But I also know that there are entities behind it that sometimes like to put money into their own coins, and also has a significant amount of ETH, which is a benefit. And I also work with the 9-inch DEX as well. 9-inch is basically Pancake Swap, but for Pulse chain and Ethereum. And it has its incentive token, which is similar to the Cake token, which is called BBC. So it is a play on 1-inch. That 9 inches is way bigger and better than 1-inch, you know. And BBC obviously is big bonus coin, nothing else. So I like being on there and doing stuff on there. And obviously, when I get bored, I'll play around on Solana and buy some crap coins on there. Also, There was I'm part of. I really like. There's a few coins on Pulse Chain that I really like. Solid X, Axis token, Nope token, and the Fire token. They call this the Solid Index, which is pretty good. And then in terms of meme coins on Pulse Chain, I also really like. There's a coin called Teddy, and there's like the Atropa ecosystem, which is pretty cool. It's pretty decent. But outside of that, you know, I'm buying a lot of the kind of major coins, and I'm playing around on Blast. I'm messing around on Solana. I'm messing around on a little bit on Base, but bought the very basic meme coins on there as well. Your Bretts, Andys, and then Phantom is a good chain as well in terms of speed. And I'm looking forward. I mean, I don't know if he's still doing it, but I'm looking forward to seeing if. Well, we'll see what Pepe does actually on Ethereum, because I think with it being so bonded in liquidity to Ethereum, I know we've seen an all-time high for it, but it could do very, very well. By the way, our exchange, 9inch.io, we will be releasing in the next few weeks these liquidity farms for Pepe and Shiba Inu. So if you do have Pepe or Shiba Inu, you can earn, you can stake, you can farm. The big bonus coin, this is it, yeah. Welcome. You can earn earn yield on your Pepe, on your Shiba Inu. That's going to be coming in farms in the next few weeks. It's not live just yet, but it will be.
So this is your exchange?
It's not. I work for the exchange. I didn't create it myself, but a close friend of mine, Hexy Bastard, created this with a couple guys called Kino and K9. And a few other devs as well. So when you enter the exchange, it's available for now, it's available on Pulse Chain and also on Ethereum. But we're likely to go on to Phantom. We're likely to possibly go on to Base, and probably in the future Solana as well. It is the first of its kind meme coin DEX, and it's based off of Banking Uniswap. Yeah, meme coin DEX.
Why Pulse Chain? As you said, Pulse Chain is undervalued.
Why? Well, a lot of us came from Pulse Chain, like from the Richard Hart ecosystem. Maybe some of the guys who were like Hexicans, or guys who were in Hex when it did 10,000x. I think Pulse Chain's undervalued because of the fact that, I mean, if you look at the prices, it's quite low, it's quite down. So for me, I see that as a play, as well as like if you look at other L1s as well, brand new L1s, I like to buy a set of them. So say Sui, you've also got what else that's a little bit undervalued, maybe Aptos as well. Those I like L1s, brand new L1s seem to do quite well. But
how you calculate how you decide if some chain is undervalued or overvalued? What are the main factors?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I'm looking at kind of the price action and where it's at the moment from its all-time high as well. But if it's a brand new layer one, I think that it's still in price discovery. So last cycle, and I'm going off the assumption of the last cycle L1s did very, very well. And I think the L1s have yet to really take off, apart from Solana's done well this cycle in terms of L1s. Now, Bitcoin's done very, very well. The ordinals have done very well as well, because a lot of people have been playing around with that. But I think that a lot of the L1s have yet to really pop off because Ethereum hasn't really popped off. It hasn't really done that well. And usually you start to see money come from that into the L1s and L2s. So I think that there are a lot of L1s that are undervalued. In the same way as well, I think that GameFi is undervalued at the moment. It hasn't really had its season. It hasn't had its major movements yet. Whereas meme coins, I think it's the theme of this cycle. I think for sure when you look at what Bonk did in the bear market, you look at what Andy and Brett, and you look at what Pepe, and you look at everything that's been popping off, that in particular niche has been doing extremely well. So I still think that you're going to get like a GameFi run but usually it's those major L1s need to do well. You need to see Ethereum do really, really well,
Yeah, but
and then start to move into the alts.
Why Pulse Chain is undervalued in your opinion? Because you said that
Sure.
Pulse Chain is in what you believe is undervalued. Okay. So
Yeah.
my question is, what factors do you measure?
Sure. So the factors that I measure is that I believe that Pulse Chain is undervalued because of the amount of Ethereum that's on the sidelines. So if you look at the entities that own Pulse Chain or have some sort of association with Pulse Chain, you look at the wallets and how much Ethereum they have. I think that it is a leverage play on Ethereum, and when Ethereum does well, it will do well. For example,
how can I check it? On which website?
What on Pulse Chain you're talking about?
Yeah,
you got to gopulse.com. That's probably your best one. Yeah. So for those people who've never been introduced to Pulse Chain is a direct copy of Ethereum, ETH 2.0. The reason why I think it's undervalued is because there was a court case that was brought against, the SEC brought a court case against Richard Hart and Pulse Chain. And that court case will go, there'll be a decision made on that in October, probably final decision back in January. But Ethereum has been classified as a kind of non-security, that they chucked out this security status with consensus. Pulse Chain is a direct copy. I mean, literally a direct copy of ETH 2.0. So if that's been thrown out, this will be shown in court. And I think that the price action went down. Initially, it went significantly high. There was a lot of volume straight away. And then what you had was that court case was brought, I think it launched in May of last year. And then you had in July, end of July, was the court case brought against it. So you had 2 months almost, and then you saw like 30 million coming off chain. You had OKX drop it as a listing because they were worried about the court case. And so there isn't too many on ramps. You have now MEXC as they've listed Pulse Chain, but a lot of the major players like your Coinbases and a lot of those big exchanges won't list it until there's clarification with this court case. Now, I personally think if you look at the evidence, you look at what's going on, and you look at what they're accusing Richard and Pulse Chain, they classify Pulse Chain as like entities, which they're not. They're just open source code. These, I believe it's extremely undervalued.
Okay, I have one last question. And so, I don't want to.
I know your channel's,
I know. I have to finish right now, but I'm just curious because I'm talking about Pulse Chain for the second time. Previously, I was talking with Matthew from Crypto Coffee. Yeah. Matt from Crypto Coffee. He's also from Pulse Chain. So, I'm talking with you, and I didn't hear about this ecosystem before much. So I'm just, looking at simple things. So for me, what is disturbing? And previously, I talked to him, and I said it to him. But for me, disturbing is that the distribution of, for example, PLS is, in my opinion, not too good. Not too good. Not optimistic. Why? Because there is a huge amount of PLS lying on the biggest wallets addresses.
Yes.
So I'm just asking, if you are in that ecosystem, how do you perceive this? Because there are a huge amount of PLS in the biggest wallet. I don't know what's this address.
I think that's contract address. But with Rat Pulse, yeah.
But there is 2 billion PLS, and the max supply of PLS is 40 trillion, right? So it's 2 trillion. So it's 20-something% or 15% or something in the first wallet.
Yeah.
So you know, from my perspective, this kind of distribution isn't secure, because one person can dump the price in one night.
Sure.
What do
That
you
depends
think?
on who owns the wallets. So, okay, so if you look at Hex, okay, because you have to use the example of Hex before you use Pulse Chain, because it is Richard started with the product of Hex, and then he moved to create his own L1 Pulse Chain. Hex had an OA, like an origin address, that had, I think, 90% of the supply in its wallet, or something ridiculous like that. One of the top addresses. And when you see the top addresses as well, a lot of these are tied or possibly tied. We can't say for sure, but possibly tied with Richard. Now, what I found with that entity, and you have to do your own research and look into this for yourself, is that this entity never ever sells and holds some of the supply. It actually helps to affect the price appreciation. It's part of the reason why it did 10,000x. However, it's also gone down significantly a lot. But if you look at the guys who own the highest supply, like this 90+% of the supply, they never sold a single penny. So you have to ask yourself, is centralization or some form of centralization good for a coin on a longer term basis? Now, on Solana, let's say I get into a meme coin. I know that if I'm not sniping the contract, I know that people can get 10-20% of the supply in the first block by buying it up and using a sniper bot. And usually, I mean, when you use a sniper bot and you're able to get into the supply so quickly and get a significant amount of supply, you're holding millions and millions of dollars. I would rather have it in an entity's hand who owns the project and likes the project and isn't just going to continually dump on my head forever and ever until they run out of supply. And so this is the biggest thesis that you have, or the biggest question that you have to ask yourself is this entity is good for the ecosystem? Is it good? Do they have an incentive to dump? Do they have a reason to dump? And if they don't have a reason, I mean, if they're rich as anything, what else are they going to do with the supply? The only thing I could say is possibly it could be a security risk, but no one knows who's people know, but they're not 100% sure who owns it. However, I'm pretty sure who I know owns it. I think it's Richard, but no one actually says that. No one. But reading between the lines, if you look at the wallets and who they're associated with, and if you do some on-chain analysis and you follow the wallets, then you can see that it's possibly owned by Richard Hart. So if Richard, who owns his own projects, has the majority of the supply, never sells, and actually has been known as an entity to pump money into the system, and has previously done that with Hex, for example, you have to ask yourself, is it a good player or a bad player? Is that individual wanting the best for their ecosystem or not?
Yeah.
And
from
so
my perspective, it's disturbing,
But Satoshi owns a lot of Bitcoin.
5%.
Yeah, and also
5%. It's 5% versus 40%.
But that was over time. Correct me if I'm wrong. That it reduced significantly. If I'm correct in saying it was 40% previously.
Previously,
the distribution has gone less and less of Satoshi's amounts. And how much of it now, if you look at Bitcoin, how much of it is owned by BlackRock now, and entities that
by BlackRock, less than a million.
Even Mt.Gox, what we're seeing now, right?
140,000.
Yeah. And we look at the price of Bitcoin today. Don't get me wrong, if you want something that's more diversified, as per se, like in terms of its distribution model and the amounts owned by a certain entity, then it works. But you have to make the decision. If you're talking about specifically Pulse Chain, you have to make the decision whether you think this entity is for you or against you, and whether more centralized ownership is good. So there's a lot of centralized ownership, for example, on ETH. Like you look at the ETH Foundation, you look at the Beacon address, you look at what Vitalik owns, even Justin Sun, a couple guys like that. There's Gavin Woods, etc. But yeah, it's up to you to do your own research when it comes to that.
Yeah, let's talk about it on next live stream.
Yeah. I personally think
talking with you. Today we had only 30 minutes. So right now I have to finish this call.
It's interesting that you're asking me questions about Pulse Chain, because I was thinking, well, maybe there'll be other questions on other stuff, but
yeah, I started asking about Pulse Chain because you started from Pulse Chain.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Saying that Pulse Chain is the most undervalued, so
I think it is the most undervalued. Yeah.
That's why I started to asking myself why. Because if I think so, I also will invest in that.
What do you think is undervalued at the moment? I'd be interested to know that any.
I won't say it, because it's a lot of math.
Okay.
And if you look on some metrics, I was analyzing it a few months ago, and if you look on some metrics from one perspective, Arbitrum token, ARB, is in some way undervalued because there is much happening on this ecosystem, many projects, but there is a huge inflation, especially this year, and huge amount of new coins were unlocked in April, and because of that the price went down, and it's probably still really low. But from the perspective of how much fees they are generating from transactions, Arbitrum might be undervalued. But I'm not invested in this right now, to be 100% honest.
Sure. Because Arbitrum's layer 2, right? EVM layer 2. Am I correct in saying? Yeah. I mean, layer 2s will do well this cycle because Vitalik doesn't want to focus on sharding the network and sorting out Ethereum. So naturally, he's sped up in the last upgrade. He sped up fees, sped up the networks for L2s and reduced the fees for that. But that's always been my concern on certain things, like for example, say Sui as well, which are new layer 1s this cycle. They have token unlocks coming up this year. And so you have a lot of this happening. We don't actually, and this is another reason why, and I don't want to be all Pulse Chain and just throw the Bible at you here, but we don't have token unlocks. The supply is quite a lot, but it was from the beginning. You had like a pre-mint phase, people had a sacrifice phase, paid money, and they bought their, bought their tokens, and that was that. That was done. So you don't have any, like a lot of tokens have these token unlocks for VCs that have held for like 2 years. So that can be one pain in the ass with other cryptos. But I think Arbitrum will do well. Yeah. One that I felt was really undervalued, but I don't know if it will do well. I mean, I saw Polkadot was down. It's still down significantly, but whether it recovers, it's like XRP, right? It's like XRP, the Ripple Foundation, Ripple have just sold constantly whenever it's tried to do a big pump, and they sold so much in 2021. I wouldn't trust them.
Yeah, but XRP is going down and down since the beginning. To BTC, of course. I mean, they did nothing for these years, in my opinion, from my perspective. They're doing marketing, etc. But what did they do? What did
they did? Well, this is the thing that the Fed is not buying up.
Do you use the tools by their apps? Probably no.
XRP, no. I heard a rumor that XLM might get an ETF in the future, just based off of the fact that Grayscale. Of course, Grayscale are quite good when it comes to having trusts and possibly having the next ETF. But I think the next ETF will be Solana.
They will have probably, but many other coins will do also.
Yeah. Link as well, something like that, possibly.
In the short term, I will just add. In the short term, we are just after the dump back. So Bitcoin dumped today, and right now Bitcoin is around $61,600. And right at this point, there is a huge selling pressure in a short-term period, because we can see it on Max Order Book. No, right now we cannot see it. It was visible just a few seconds ago. Right now there is a little buying pressure by area from here. But right now the price seems to be stable between these levels. So we will observe the market during the next couple of hours, and that's all. That's all. Thank you, Steven, for joining me.
Thank you for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
Not sponsored.
No. It's very
Altcoin or Arbitrum are not sponsoring this interview.
Just sharing thoughts. Just a couple of plebs on the internet.
Yeah.
But it's good.
Okay, so have a great day, brother, and see you soon. Hopefully we will talk more.
Yeah, I'd love to get you on my channel as well, man. Good speaking to you.